Hello and welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. If you want to learn how to support the mission of this channel to normalize atheism and deconversion, stay tuned to the end of the video and you'll learn more. Today I'm doing a Rabyd Reflections, a little bit more freewheeling, a little bit more open. I'm hoping very soon to have a new computer where I can go live for Rabyd Reflections, and I also want to go live for the Bible study eventually. But for now, I'm going to keep this format, and we'll do a premiere on Saturday. I'm going to eventually move this to Friday one way or the other because my series on seeing behind the religious curtain will be over in a couple more weeks. And so we're going to just reflect. And as from the title, I've been reflecting a lot. I don't know, this week has been kind of one of those weird weeks from an emotional standpoint because I've been listening to a lot of Queen and missing Freddie and missing Brian May and all the guys doing their thing. I grew up with that. As a Christian, I loved Queen and I loved their music. And I remember watching The Highlander and the old movie, The Highlander. Great movie. But the whole idea of the quickening and living a long time and living forever, and they had many songs in there from, the Highlander song and many others, but Who Wants to Live Forever is a very soul-stirring ballad. And I've been listening to that a lot. I've been listening to Somebody to Love and a few others of their songs that just catch my attention. I've been reflecting on the religious idea of living forever. As an atheist, of course, I reject the whole notion. I think it's a false promise without any evidence for it. I've spoken on NDEs before, that NDEs tend to reflect the person's beliefs and cultures, and why would I trust a brain who is effectively going through a dream state on trauma, steroids, kind of thing. And why would I trust that? People see a lot of things when they're under duress that aren't there, and this would just be another one. It's wishful thinking of the brain at the last moments of death. And it's funny because people said, well, why would you give that up? Why would you give up the promise of eternal life? I said, because I don't like false promises and I don't like exaggerated claims. And I've now come to more of a grip the more I think about it. I don't want to live forever. I think the problem with living forever is no matter which neighborhood you hang out to, it's going to be either, if hell is true, it's one of the most evil things that God does, to torture somebody forever for something that they did temporarily. I've already done several videos on that and reacted to several people on that, and come to the conclusion that it's a fear tactic. Okay, there's no proof for hell, and Christians never offer up any evidence for hell. They just they just say it exists and push the narrative, and then they promise heaven, which sounds like an insanely boring place. Just none of the human experience is there that would make life exciting, and I don't see it. It's like, who wants to live forever? I think what makes love precious, what makes the human experience precious is that it's finite. And I've just been reflecting on how precious things are to me since I became an atheist. My human experience is much more intense because I'm not thinking about pie in the sky by and by. I'm not thinking about, if I don't have this conversation with this person, I'll get a chance later. I always try to make sure that my kids, grandkids, everybody, every time I meet them and, I hug them and I tell them I love them. And because I never know when the last time is going to be, And so it makes every encounter, I was thinking about this when I was with my daughter, my grandkids, my mother yesterday. And it was like, I'm trying to enjoy the moment. I've got my new grandson who just turned 1 and he's crawling around the floor, and I'm just enjoying his curiosity about the world and just thinking to myself, this is what makes life precious, is its finiteness. It's limited capacity to keep us. And yeah, I know that's kind of, very reflective, very emotional, but I was, and then the other day I was listening to the song by Queen, Who Wants to Live Forever, and it's like, I can't remember if Freddie and the gang there knew that Freddie was dying at that point. I don't think they did. I think he either got the diagnosis the next year or whatever, that he was going to die. He had AIDS. Maybe he did, maybe, I can't remember, but it's so reflective of the fact that they continued to sing that song well into the future. Okay, even after they wrote it for the Highlander, it became very much a part of their repertoire. And it's one of those things, who wants to live forever, and I don't want to. I think that would make life so lacking in value because it would be infinite. It would be stupid infinite. Okay, we've done human beings have brought up the question of human morality so many times in their films and their literature and their fiction and thinking about it. And I think my favorite view of it is Robert Heinlein's, because he goes with a scientific way of living longer and longer and longer. And he has a character, Lazarus Long, who finally gets to the point, and I think this is in Time Enough for Love, where he says, screw it, I don't want to live anymore. I'm done. I think at that point he'd lived like almost 4,000 years, and he's like, screw it, I'm done. Is there anything I haven't experienced? Is there anything I haven't done? And he has to get a computer to analyze all of his life, and the computer even acknowledges, the problem, Lazarus, is you've done so much, and so much of it is now mythology. It's like the ability to remember things, the ability to, in our human finiteness, to remember experiences. Even in our short term, in our real lives here, do we remember things? No. And so for me, no, I don't want to live forever. There would be so much things that I would forget, okay, that would be precious to me. But because of my human finiteness, I'm going to forget them, okay? It's wishful thinking to think otherwise. And so I think life becomes more precious the moment you realize that at death it's over. And right now, I'm starting to enjoy the party. Okay, I wish I had somebody, female and cuddly to enjoy it with right now, and I don't have that, but I'm fine without it too. Because I also listen to Somebody to Love a lot. Because it's all I really want is somebody to love. But at the same time, what makes that precious, if not the finiteness of life? That those moments that you have to love another person are very fleeting and going to be over. And my fellow apes, every ape has his day, and every ape dies. And someday that's going to happen to me. And I'm not, anxious for it. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm finally starting to enjoy the party, but like Christopher Hitchens, someday I realize somebody's going to tap me on the shoulder and tell me it's time to leave. And I'm not going to want to leave, but at the same time, I also will want to leave because it's time to go. So, I've been very reflective on death, and a lot of theists are going to say, oh, well, yeah, but your promises have no verification. Which afterlife story should I believe? If I had to pick, I'd rather have Valhalla. Find me a way to die in battle. Okay, I'd rather have something that, relates far better to my human experience than this promise of infinite immortality in a perfect place. No, thank you. That seems like it would be very unchallenging, okay, and difficult to deal with. That's kind of where I am at. I guess I'm interested in everybody's thoughts, on reflecting on that sort of thing. Today, what other things can we talk about? Had a lot of theists comment on my video this week on understanding that the correct interpretation of Scripture won't help you. Most of them just illustrated my point by, well, this word can mean this, and that doesn't mean that. And I'm like, thank you for proving my point, because the variants in biblical interpretation mean it's unreliable. I had one guy recently comment that the Catholic Church's interpretation of Scripture is the true one. Which Catholic interpretation? Because they've changed over the years too. If you look at interpretations of Catholic dogma and stuff like that, mere couple hundred years ago, it's different than it is today. So which interpretation of the Catholic dogma over the years, over the centuries, is the correct one? Which one? The current one? So does that mean all the rest of them back in the past were false? See, this is me illustrating the dilemma, okay? It doesn't help you because it's all over the place, and it's basically human beings massaging the Bible to fit whatever agenda they have and whatever they want. And it's proven over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't help you in the human condition. Christianity is supposed to solve all these human condition problems, by its own promises within its pages in the Christian Bible, and it doesn't do that. And that was the point of that video. But every theist that commented illustrated the point. Thank you very much. I appreciate it when theists cooperate with my video that much. They just, I had something, don't listen to this guy. Well, read it for yourself. I'm like, and they're going to read it for themselves and get it in an alternative interpretation than me or you or anybody else. Because interpretation is very, very subjective. Very, very subjective. It's one of the things I learned as a theist and as a theologian and as somebody who studied the Bible. Boy, is my interpretation as subjective as anybody else's. And that was the whole point of the video, and thank you for supporting that point, theists. I appreciate it. Let's see. Earlier this week I talked about Trump's assassination attempt. I will probably add to this. I think that young man, as misguided as he was and as lucky as Trump was, probably handed Trump the election. Okay. Because now the narrative, the religious narrative is now God wants Trump to be president of the United States. He's preserving his life. Hard luck for the firefighter, huh? God doesn't seem to care about firefighters and cares more about this orange guy with his fake hair. I don't know. It's strange to me that, God seems to be pretty selective in who he saves and who he doesn't. And honestly, I don't think God had anything to do with it. I think he got dumb lucky. And in fact, Trump is probably one of the luckiest people I know. And, like every time you think he's going down, he gets up. So I think he's handed him the election, though. Okay, I'm starting to agree with a lot of people. And I caught hell last time because after the debate I said I think Trump's going to win. I still think Trump's going to win. Okay, and not because now I think it's not just because of the debate. It's the cumulative things that have happened since the debate, the assassination attempt. Every time Biden gets out there, he looks older and older. Biden has an image problem, and it's not going away. And he's also stubborn and proud, and so he's not going to bow out of the race. And I think the most true statement we're going to hear about Biden is Ruth Bader Biden. I really do think that's going to happen. I think his pride as an old man, he's really becoming the old man sitting on the porch, get off my lawn, this is my election kind of thing. And his pride is going to cost it. It's his misdiagnosis of how well he's going to do. Trump is picking up speed and Biden is slowing down. And the polls are starting to reflect that. The conglomerate polls, when you take polls all together and put them together, Trump's ahead. Okay, and after the RNC is, now that it's over, of course, he's going to pick up a few more points. That always happens after every convention. So unless Biden wows us at the DNC, and find some way to overcome this momentum that Trump has. I mean, I'm sorry, the photo op of Trump's assassination where he's got his fist in the air and he's bleeding from the ear and the American flag's in the background, you can't buy that kind of propaganda. It's like, oh my God, it's this beautiful thing, from a propaganda standpoint. I'm sorry, folks. I don't see it. And the comforting thing to me right now is that Project 2025 and Trump he's not completely in line with it. I think the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 can use somebody like Trump to get some of their agenda, but I don't think they'll get all of it. It is kind of frightening what Christians think of America, that somehow this is a Christian nation, and I just no, it's not. It never has been and never should be. And it's too bad, because I don't think they realize that secularism would actually preserve their Christianity longer, but I think they're going to overplay their hand, and people will backlash against it. I think you're seeing the last gasp of a generation that wants religion, and the younger generations are less and less religious, and it's just not going to hold out. The question is, how long do we have to put up with this BS before it'll disappear? I guess I'm starting to look at the long game here of how to deal with things, but I'm not sure that we're in a position as atheists to do much about it, because we're still a minority group. And of course, there's always this "God bless America," and you're gonna hear that at the DNC too. I mean, both parties play to the religious crowd. Sorry, they do. And people keep forgetting that Biden's a Catholic. He is, and while he doesn't allow his religion to influence his politics, he still plays some of that card game with it too. So I don't know. Right now, if I were to pick a winner, it's going to be Trump. And Biden's only way of saving the election for the Democrats, if I was a Democrat strategist, I'd be focusing on Congress right now, holding on to Congress, so that Trump, can't do what he wants to do. Give me some gridlock here for the next couple of years. And usually what happens is Americans see when one party gets control of everything and they see what they want to do, they get really anxious about that, and they flip it back the other way. So, particularly this is particularly true in the House of Representatives. But the Republicans didn't get the red wave that they wanted 2 years ago, and maybe they won't get all the things in Congress that they want either. And so we'll see what happens there. But right now, it's kind of I'm trying to be very measured, and I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible about gridlock. Okay, that's kind of where I'm at. But I see the executive branch switching back to the Republicans, and then if they have the court and the executive branch, you better hope that either the House or the Senate or both are in Democrat hands at that point, because if Congress switches and the Republicans get complete control, it is never good when either party gets complete control. Usually the worst legislation comes out of that, regardless of who's in charge, because everybody pushes their agenda at the expense of everybody else. This is why I'm a libertarian, and I understand the dangers of too much government, and unfortunately neither party thinks small government anymore, so that's where we're at. Let's see. Any other thing that I want to deal with? Not really. This is kind of where I'm going to go a little personal, and so if that's not your thing, you can of course leave the video at this time. But on a personal note, it's been a very stressful week. I had to cut a few things, and I've been reflecting on the fact that I've been reactive on this channel for a little over a year now, and it's been a wonderful, wild ride, and we're getting very close to 5K subs at the making of this video. And I enjoy that very much. This week I borrowed some money, and I've got to get my car fixed. I'm hoping that I borrowed way more than I need, and I can give a bunch of it back. But I got to get my car fixed on Wednesday. I'm supposed to get a lot of things done with it. And there'll still be some things to do that I'll have to deal with, but there'll be minor issues instead of major ones. And then, of course, I'm hoping this weekend to order my new computer, which will hopefully arrive next week. My hope is to have myself set up. People have said, well, why don't you just, upgrade your current one? It's a laptop, and I could do externals and stuff like that. But the biggest problem is the connectivity. And it's going to cost half as much to fix it, okay, because I've asked. The connectivity issues and stuff like that in this laptop, to fix it would cost half as much as the bloody thing is worth. And so it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So heading a different direction, getting upgraded hardware, and hopefully we'll see an improvement in the channel. That's always anxiety inducing for me because switching over to a new computer is always an anxiety thing. I don't want to lose anything. I don't want to lose my stuff. I've got all the stuff in the cloud and everything, and I want to make sure I still have access to all that. So hopefully that'll take place, and I got some other things, some health-related stuff that I got to deal with, and I'm kind of flush with cash because of the loan, but I realize I got to pay all that back, and so the less I use, the better. And I talked to my therapist this week, and it was a good session. She's always concerned about me because outside of, once a week when I deal with my family and going to work and dealing with my coworkers, I don't have, and here online on YouTube, I don't really have a lot of interaction with human beings. Okay, the biggest thing that I've had this week that I've dealt with personally, and many of you autistic people will relate, this week I've just really felt, and maybe it's the Trump assassination and all the crap that's gone with it, and watching the RNC and just not feeling like, I certainly don't belong to that camp anymore. And I'm probably not going to feel this. I really feel like I belong to an alien race this week, and somebody dropped me off on this planet, and I'm like, where's my electronic thumb so I can leave? Okay, it's like, I want to get the hell out of here before they bulldoze this planet for a hyperspace, bypass. It's like I am really in. This week has just been like, damn, I want to be somewhere else. I don't feel like I belong. And I was reflecting on some things, in my past with my therapy session about, I didn't know it was the last time kind of thing. The last time I played as a kid, and then suddenly I wasn't a kid anymore. I played with my friends, and it was the last time. And when I was younger, we had a gaming group, and then one day I went to the shop and realized none of these people were coming over again. And the time before, when we had everybody together, just the week before, was probably the last time we were going to be together. And you didn't realize that until after it's over, And there have been very few times in my life where I felt like I belonged. And the church gave me that for a long time until it didn't. This channel kind of makes me feel like I belong, but because of some of my viewpoints, I know that certain atheists will never have me on their show, okay? Because I'm, mostly because of political reasons. And even though the atheists will sit there and talk about how it's only about not belief in God, a lot of these atheist groups are also about politics and social action, and it's like, And I just don't. I guess the biggest thing that makes me feel like I don't belong anymore is we used to have the ability to disagree vehemently with each other and still be friends. And I think I'm reflecting on those past moments because when I was a kid, when I was in high school playing football, when I had the gaming group together, saw the 80s and 90s, by the way. A lot of the people I played football with, a lot of the kids that I hung out with, a lot of the people I had my gaming group with, politically and socially, were all over the map. But we could put all that aside to enjoy each other's company as human beings. And I don't know if modern society has that anymore. I keep looking for it. Okay? But it feels like tribalism has gotten worse. And that bothers me, I guess, on a personal level. And I just like, with the nearest flying saucer, just take me off. I want to go somewhere else. Okay? And that's kind of where I'm at personally. I'm not feeling like I belong these days to anything. Except my own channel here in the Rabyd Nation, because I created it. So it's about the only thing I feel like I belong, and my family too. I love hanging with the grandkids. They're young. they're naive, but you know what? I'd rather have that than what we have right now. Holy crap. But anyway, that's kind of where I am personally. Not so much depression, a lot of anxiety, but getting better, coping, dealing with it. The temperature thankfully dropped, and the brightness is still there because it's summertime and the clear skies and the sunshine, and the vampire in me heads into his coffin every day. Hypersensitivity just driving me nuts. So that's kind of where I am. I think that's Rabyd Reflections for this week. Just been a really surreal week, thinking about a lot of things, being more introspective, I guess, this week. So, but thinking about a lot of things, I'm still where I'm at with a lot of things, but I'm just like, looking for that place where I belong again, at a personal level, looking for that person that'll make me feel like I belong to the human race. Because right now I don't feel it. I just don't. So that's that. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I appreciate all the likes, shares, and subscribes. The channel's growing. We are very close now to 5K. Getting close to being under 200. I think I'm getting close to the 200 mark before we hit 5K. And this channel picks up subs at a rate at about 8 to 10 a day average. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. I've had days where I've lost subscribers in recent days. So the momentum that I had like 6 months ago seems to be waning down a little bit. But I think I'm just waiting for the next viral moment. But all your likes, shares, and subscribes are very well appreciated. Thank you very much. You can support the channel tangibly through PayPal, Super Thanks, Super Chat, and most importantly, membership. Thank you to my members, to my citizens, my rabid citizens, to my tribunes. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Your monthly support means a lot to me. Thank you very much on a deep emotional level. Thank you. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around and then it's over. So you don't want to waste all your time, money, and opportunities on a finite existence, giving it to religion and faith, but rather focus on yourself, focus on the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. I speak from experience. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.